everyone, I just finished grading your midterm, and so I wanted to make a little video so we could talk about it for a second. In it, there were two questions, and one of them was analysis of the book that you chose, an analysis, and the second part is how you could involve children with that book. And this question has always bothered me because we don't really talk about what we can do to involve children in the book that we are reading. And so I actually graded that question a lot less harshly than I probably should have, because they're supposed to be weighted the same. The analysis and then the activities that you can do with children are supposed to be weighted the same, when often that second part gets neglected because we don't really talk about that prior to this. So this has been something I've been thinking about this whole semester. And because of that, it kind of just springs that question on you, and it does it again in the final when it's something that we don't talk about. And I am not allowed to change the content of the lessons. So I've been really thinking about this, trying to figure out a way that we can help this question, because that is why we are reading children's literature, so we can involve children in reading. So I have decided to change how I do my book presentations. I'm going to do them almost exactly the same, except at the end I'm also going to have a little section on how I would use that book to involve children. So I decided also to make a quick video about how I would take a specific book and involve children with it. And with this, I would invite you in your book presentations and any papers moving forward, your whisper shout papers, if you have a paragraph or a little thing about how you would involve children, that would just put me over the moon. Of course, you don't have to, because I can't change the content of the actual class and what they are asking you to do. But if you did that, it would just be awesome, because I feel like it's enabling us to put the knowledge that we are learning in this class into a practical situation. So I decided to make a little video. I did my book review recently on Wonder, the book, and I decided to make a little presentation on how I would involve children if that was my job. And I am using specifically a classroom setting. In any of these, you could use a home setting or a classroom setting. I don't care which, but I would love to see how you can involve children. So of course this is Wonder, and I gave my book presentation about it, so you know a little bit about it. But I first was brainstorming, what does it mean to have an activity? Of course, we can always read a book and talk about it, but that's just not as effective, I think, as getting the children actually involved in something that they're learning. So some of the things that I had ideas about were: get them out of their chair, do small group work, do something physically active, stretch their thinking, have them memorize art projects, posters, hard questions that don't just require a regurgitation of a part of the book. Make it fun, have self-discovery, leave the classroom, and have student interaction. And of course, that's not a all-encompassing list, but those are just a few of the things that I thought about. So here's some things with the art. So of course, this is the book cover. It's very minimalistic and very interesting. And so I decided first thing I would do is play with that cover. So I did my own self-portrait. As you can see, my ginormous hair there. I did my self-portrait of me as the Wonder character, which I thought was interesting. After I did this, I thought, oh, you know what? I could have put this on white paper, cut it out, and then put it on a blue background instead of just coloring it, and then I could have added the details. So that's something to think about. Another art project with the same thing, I did a Wonder self-portrait. However, I actually went in, and if you can see, I'll make myself bigger for a second. I went in and I wrote words that either I have chosen to be or that are me. And so I filled myself with words that I've chosen to be that aren't necessarily my physical characteristics, because that's what this book is about, is learning who people are without having to be tainted by the outside. So those are the things about me that if you wanted it to be like a self-discovery thing, but you could also do something just like this with characters in the book. You could have them draw what they look like physically, and then if you're talking about characterization in your class, you could have them fill that with character traits from that person in the book. You know, pick a character, decide what some of their character traits are, and then fill the space with it. Okay, and so, you know, there are tons of art projects with every book that we read, basically, and those were just with the cover art. I mean, there's tons of things you could do on the inside. So something that happens in this book is Mr. Brown is a English teacher, and he has these precepts once a month that they have to write about. Of course, you could do the same thing that they do in the book. And there's a list of them there. You don't have to read, but you know, the first one is, when given the choice between being right and being kind, choose kind. So that's basically the theme of the whole book, is that precept. So these are some things that I thought about with getting them involved in the book. You could have them choose a precept and memorize it. They could make a paper cube where they decorate it and draw it, but they also put their favorite precepts on it. And of course, it would be a flat piece of paper, and then they fold it up to be a precept cube. They can make a postcard with their favorite precept on it, because they talk about postcards in that book as well. Write a paragraph about why it's your favorite precepts and which one is. You could have a small group discussion about the precepts. Then when stretching their thinking in the book, Augie lists how he is the same as everyone else, but he also says how he's different. And you could have the students think about that and do that, because we are all we're all human, so we do have some of the same characteristics, but we are all different also, and that's what makes us special. In the book, it's just a fun thing. They try and choose superpowers, so you could have them do that. Write a new precept that's not in the book, one that's just out of their minds. Put it on a postcard, and then you could do a small group discussion about how they would feel during the bloody scream incident. That's an incident in the book that's really the most heartbreaking, and you could have a small group discussion about what they would feel like. You could do art precepts, and then you could actually swap it with friends. You could illustrate the book as a graphic novel, one scene. And you could make posters. Each person could have a poster about, and one section could be on why your classmates think you are a wonder and why you think you are a wonder. You could have some more student interaction. It's all about kindness, like I said. And you could have small group discussion on, and they could decide what it means to be kind. And then you could make a poster that's all connected with all the different definitions on what it means to be kind. You could also have a kindness wall where you could have the kids list acts of kindness that they do receive or witness. And that could be something to show that kindness happens a lot more than maybe we understand. And then you can make goals to be kinder as a class. Now, the publisher of Wonder actually has a whole bunch of resources on how you can have a kind certified class and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, you can, if you were going to teach that book, you could look into that. And then you could have like almost a, where you don't know who is saying it, but you could just have pieces of paper that has the kid's name on it, and then you could just have the classmates tell them nice things about them, whatever. So those are just some activities that I thought about just briefly when I was thinking about this book, Wonder, and there are a million things, and I think that that's something as we are studying children's literature that we really need to think about, is how to get children involved in these books that we are reading. And so, like I said, it's not a requirement, but I would love for you in your book presentations and any papers going forward, if you just wrote a little paragraph or had a little section on how to involve children with the book that you're talking about, I would just love that. And that's what I'm going to start doing with my book presentations. I held off doing this week's because I wanted to make this video first so you can see that I'm going to alter mine just slightly. So if you have any questions or comments or anything, I'm going to put this video in the Google Plus community and you guys can see it and you can have a discussion if you want, and just let me know what you think. So I look forward to seeing you all.